Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? And welcome to ADF's webinar on our Introduction to Digital Evidence Investigator. Thank you for joining, taking the time out in your day to come listen to my dulcet tones as I speak about our product. A couple of housekeeping issues here. We do have some handouts in our handout pane you'd be able to download and take a look at. There's a chat pane that you'll be able to ask your questions, which we will take care of at the end. And with that, I believe we are going to get started. So, introductions first. I'm Richard Frawley. I'm the Digital Forensic Specialist here at ADF Solutions. My email is rfrawley@adfsolutions.com. I've been with ADF for 2 years now. I came on board for our switch from version 3 to version 4, which was a major interface change and product change. Prior to that, I spent 22 years in law enforcement, 17 of those years as a forensic examiner and investigator with the Milford Police Department up in Connecticut. So now I'm here. I've probably met some of you, seen some of you, talked to some of you on the phone. So again, welcome. And let's just get into a brief introduction of ADF and who we are. So ADF has been around since about 2006. At the beginning, we were a triage company. We had a couple of earlier products, our Triage Lab, Triage Live, Triage ID. As we moved along, we started doing, still doing on-scene triage work out in the field, intelligence gathering, but also moved into being able to use it in the lab. And in the last few years, that's where we've spent our time putting together this product that you're going to see today. With well over 10,000 users now, being able to do a triage, on-scene investigations, and in the lab scans of computers and devices. And coming soon, we will be able to do logical iOS and Android devices. Just an example of some of our clients around, that's our little brag sheet. A couple of ways you could use Digital Evidence Investigator and our tools. So you have your drive images, your EO1s, your DDs. You have some external drives that you get in evidence, SD cards, USB drives, CDs, so on and so forth. So in your lab, minus the EO1s or DDs, you would connect through a right blocker. And then you'd be able to scan this evidence looking for what you want. So in the lab, all the evidence that you're bringing in, looking at, if you have a backlog and you want to get through it, this is where that's going to be done. The second way to use the tool is we prepare a USB drive, USB device, to be used two ways. We call it the collection key. So you'd prepare the collection key, you'd be able to take it out into the field to do a boot scan. So you have a computer on scene or in your lab, maybe it's a closed architecture computer, you want to get into and see what's on it, you'd be able to boot to the USB device, scan that computer. And the other way to do it is if you're going on scene or you're in your lab and the computer is up and running and you want to get a profile of that computer, scan it, get your evidence off it, you'd be able to do a live scan. So 3 different ways there to use it. Our tool is very comprehensive in the way that we go from fast triage, that low-hanging fruit, all the way up to a thorough everything from everywhere, just below a deep dive investigation. We are not going into unallocated space other than to collect pictures. And that would be geared towards our indecent pictures of children or child exploitation cases where you don't want a victim left on the shelf. So talking about fast triage, just a quick picture. You have a 2 terabyte drive. You're looking for pictures, videos, documents related to user activity. You want to process this. You want to recover a lot of your artifacts that you need in every case. you'd be able to set up a scan, do that scan, so that 2 terabyte drive, you could process that in 5 minutes and have a pretty good profile and low-hanging fruit of what you were specifically looking for in that computer. All the way up to a thorough investigation where you're looking for that everything from everywhere. Okay, so a 2 terabyte drive, all the artifacts you want in every case, all pictures, videos, documents, mismatches, full file header analysis, hash list, keywords, emails parsed out, and carving that unallocated space in about 6 hours. If you take out the carving of those images, you can cut that time in half. You're looking anywhere for 3 hours as a maximum scan time for a drive that size. ADF has some flexible licensing. What this is, with this tool, you're going out and doing on-scene investigations or triage, or you're using it in the lab, but most of the time this is out. You're going into, let's say, a corporate environment where you know there's going to be multiple computers. You're going into a bad guy's house. You know who your target is, but he also has a wife and 3 kids, and you know they're going to have devices as well. What you can do with our tool is prepare multiple USB devices to go out into the field, plug them into the computers that you're going to want to scan, start the scan on the first one, authenticate it with your license. Then you'd be able to move on to each other one, just authenticate with your license and move on. So they can all be running at around the same time. So that was a quick on our background on ADF, working into Digital Evidence Investigator. So what I want to start with here is the installation of it. So I want to get this out of the way before. It's very simple. When you install Digital Evidence Investigator, it requires that the Windows Assessment and Deployment Kit be installed as well. If you're using our installer and you're connected to the internet, this will seamlessly happen. It'll tell you we're going to download the ADK and install it for you. If you don't have internet access, if it's one of the machines you don't want to put on the internet, you can download it separately. It would be the Windows ADK for Windows 10 version 1607. Once you have that downloaded, you can install it on the machine. Once it's installed, go ahead and install Digital Evidence Investigator, and you will be good to go. So let me now move on to Digital Evidence Investigator. So this is our tool. Very clean looking, very simple. It tells you right up front what your choices are in the tool. Let's think of Digital Evidence Investigator and what you're looking for this way. I went over being able to do a low hanging fruit all the way up to a complete thorough scan and investigation on a computer. What I like to say is with our tool is that there's an adage out there that 90% of your cases could be solved with 10% of your data, and that not every case is a deep dive case, not deep dive worthy. So using this tool and thinking of that premise, that's our goal, to get you to that 10%, to get you to the evidence that you are specifically looking for, that you want as fast as possible. Letting you make decisions early in your investigation and then moving forward from there. Prior to hopping into that, I would like to throw out a quick poll to everybody. Trying this now. I'm going to launch the first one here, see how this works. So I'm just looking to see what everybody's primary role is. Whether you're an examiner, investigator, prosecutor, other, your corporate IT, something like that, that would fall under other. Just trying to get a good idea who we got out here watching and who I'm speaking with. So today is the introduction to DEI. We have run a couple other webinars, and we plan on doing some more webinars in the future. So if these are something you're interested in, if it is something that you would like to see specific, especially if you're one of our users, let us know, send us an email, say, hey, listen, I'd like these webinars, but I'd like to see something specific on maybe this part of the tool or maybe doing that, because I'd love to put something together like that for you guys and move on. So that looks good. A lot of examiners out here, some investigators, and we have some others in there. So awesome. I can mix it up, let everybody know what we're doing. So let me go back. There we are. DEI should now be visible to everybody there. So very simple to use. You can scan devices and images, as I explained before. This is the view from your forensic workstation. This is installed on your computer in your lab. So you can scan devices and images. You can prepare a collection key. That is creating that bootable USB device or the USB device that you want to scan live. So the same USB device will do both. You could image anything that's attached to the devices here. Reviewing your scan results, the analysis, setting up the scans. We are going to go over that. That is where you really get to say, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for, and this is how long I'd like this scan to go for. We have our settings. This is your data paths. This is creating your maybe permanent bookmark, not permanent, but creating your bookmark labels, if you will, or your tag labels if you wanted. And we have a comprehensive user guide down the bottom. So never have to go looking for that or looking to download it. It will be with the tool as you get it. So scanning in the lab. You go in here, go into scan devices, and scanning your devices here. I was just minimizing something, sorry about that. So with our tool, everybody's used to the older toolbar at the top and your sub toolbars, and what we do is we put our toolbars on the side. You can see in this view, we have a right-hand toolbar that is colored green. The right hand is usually going to be functionality, left hand is going to be navigation. So there's nowhere for me to navigate on here except for back. So we have a back button lit. And then I have here where I can add folders or add devices and images. So under my target devices, you can see that my system drive is grayed out. We're not going to scan our own drive. You can see here I have a physical Samsung portable drive with a partition named work files. This is my collection key that I'm going to want to prepare later. It's not going to let me scan that. I have another USB device with a partition called images. I have my license key, and I also have here another USB device that is BitLocker encrypted, and it's telling me that. It's saying, hey, this is BitLocker encrypted. With our tool, if you have the credentials for this, you can enter the credentials, and if I got it right, that will unlock it. And now I can scan that BitLocker encrypted USB device. So I have everything that's attached to my computer here. If I wanted to add an image, if I wanted to add an E01 or a DD, I would go over to my right-hand toolbar, hit add image, and I can point that right at an E01 image and load that up. And you can see it loads up right away. So now I have 2 items here that I would scan. I can also point it at a directory or a folder or a partition or a shared or mapped drive. So if you're on a network and you have a mapped drive or a shared drive, you'd be able to also point it at that and scan that as well. So that's the target devices. In the center is my search profiles. A search profile is made up of artifact captures and file captures. So artifact captures are hard-coded into the tool, and I'll show you that exactly where they are in the scans. But it's those things that you're going to parse out. It's your USB information, it's your emails, it's your peer-to-peer, it's keyword traces, it's web browsing history, download, search terms, and such. And then your file captures. That's I'm looking for images, I'm looking for documents, I'm looking for these types of specific files based on file extension, file header, keywords, or hash sets. And then our scan information. So coming here, if I wanted to scan this drive, I would choose the drive. I would choose the profile that I want to run against it. I would change my name up here if I wanted to. Once I have all my selections, I would hit scan, and a scan would start. Very simple to use. So knowing that that's how it works in the lab, you have a case, you usually have specific information that you want to go through and you ask. So I have a fraud case here that was done. I just want to show you the results that you can get right off the bat with this case. I'm going to go up to my summary page. So after I run a scan, this is what shows up. It shows me what I scanned, or date and time, the profile that I used, the statistics, how long it took to run. So this was a 12-minute scan. It looked for and found 2,437 files that I specifically asked for. And these tag statistics, these are like bookmarks. It's synonymous with bookmarks. So these are what it found. I asked it to find, and it automatically bookmarked them for me. And then here's our capture. So we have our capture groups: application, communication, device data, documents, keywords. That's a custom one that I made, multimedia, user data, and web browsing history. And then what I scanned is down here at the bottom. But you could see at 12 minutes, I got all the information on my artifacts. I pulled out some emails, some Skype messages, some contacts, my USB history, device information, operating system information, my web browsing download search terms, my user accounts, user logins, recent files. And then it went through and it looked for the pictures that I was looking for and the videos that I was looking for, as well as office documents. So putting this scan together, saying this is what I want, this is where I want it from, and running it, you can see within 12 minutes, I'm ready to go with my case. Another feature we have of our tool is what's called reference files. So what that does is if I collect a file that I asked for, or if the tool collects a file that I specifically asked for, what it'll do is it will look for where it came from. If it came from a peer-to-peer, a message, an email, a download, or if it had some type of recent file entry, such as a link file or an MRU or a jump list. So you can see I come in here and here's my referenced items. I can see that this came through downloads. I can see that this picture, not exactly sure where it came through, but I can see that this file has been opened. So if this was something that was important to me, I can see that there was user interaction with this folder. With this referenced files, it also lets me go to a comprehensive timeline here. It links to the last written or file created date, and it could also take me to the path. So if that the picture was important to me and I want to see what else was in that path, I can take it right to there and see what else is in that directory. So those are kind of the results you can get right off the bat. This was a intermediate scan. So with that being said, let me back up now and go back to the beginning here. So what I've done was I've shown you where you could do some devices and images. I've showed you that you can image. I've reviewed results, kind of basic, just to show you what you can get. But this is where we're going to do some setting up of scans. And before that, I'd like to get an idea from you guys, if I could, by launching another poll here. What better describes your use case or situation? Are we looking at on-scene investigations and triage only? Are we looking to do just lab examinations only and get to that evidence fast? Or do we do both on-scene investigations and lab investigations? All right, good. Yes, that's good. We're looking at about 60% get to do both. 21% are only in the lab, and another 13% or so are triage only. So good. We're going to be able to put this to good use wherever you're using the tool. Like I said, the tool could be used out in the field, make those decisions out on scene. You're doing a search warrant, you're doing something like that. I like to, we do triage. We are triage on steroids. But I like to get away from that word and use on-scene investigation, because we're going to put a whole lot more information together for you on scene with this tool, instead of just relying on the low-hanging fruit and saying, yeah, there's the file, arrest him, we'll put this together back at the lab. We're going to put it together for you on scene, and when you're back at the lab, you're going to print a report and go home. But I digress a little bit there. Let me get to where I left off. We were at setup scans. So setting up the scan, you have your case, you have specific information. This is where you're going to tell the program what I want to do. Very, very simple to do. You go in there and you have what I call the search library. Okay, this is where you're going to manage your search profiles. You can see here they're broken down into quick, intermediate, demo is mine, custom, those are all the ones that I've made doing these demonstrations, and comprehensive. So let me tell you the difference between quick, intermediate, and comprehensive. Quick is that low-hanging fruit, that quick general profile, low-hanging fruit. I want to be done in a couple minutes. It's aimed at the user profile, and is typically aimed at by searching for file names and folder names that are specific to your case, parsing information from specific artifacts that you want. Runs quick, runs fast, gets you the information you want right up front, looking for that low-hanging fruit, especially child exploitation cases. You take that list of child exploitation search terms and keywords, you run it against the drive, you're going to know pretty well up front in a minute or two if you have something. Intermediate. Intermediate is directed specifically at the user profiles only, does not search outside of there, but it asks, it goes by keywords, but we also add in hash values, and we also ask it to collect specific types of files, such as multimedia, your pictures, your videos, and your documents. So again, it still runs in minutes and gets you the information you want. And then we have our comprehensives. Those are everything from everywhere. And typically, you can run a comprehensive scan on a computer anywhere between an hour and a half and 3 hours. With that, if you're going to add carving, you're going to add more time. But just think of a case you got coming in. It's important. They're on your back about it. It's high profile. There may be information in there, such as cloud storage. There may be information in there pertaining to social media, usernames, passwords, stuff you're going to have to do preservation orders on, stuff that you may have to do for future search warrants on. So using these, you could get to that data and have information in front of you. And even on a comprehensive, within 3 hours, and I'm saying within 3 hours, you can have all this information to get going and get your case on the way, instead of scanning for a day or two and then moving on with a full deep dive forensic examination. Not saying you don't have to do that. That's not our goal, is to say you don't need to do a deep dive. If you need to do it, you still have that ability, but we got you to the information that you need first and put it together for you. If you can get a plea deal on that, then that's great. Maybe you don't have to go to that next step. Again, I digress. Thank you guys for listening to me. Again, this is where I'm going to put everything together. So we have our toolbars over here. This is where I am going to either create a new profile. I can import so you can share. If you're building profiles and you have somebody in your state, across the state, in a task force, or somebody you just know has the tool, you want to send it to them, you can email them or put it in a cloud account, have them download it, they could import it into their tool. Another way is if I really like running my intermediate, let's just go general profiling here, I can copy that profile. So what this does now is this brings me into all the pre-made captures for you to turn on or turn off in a case. You are not limited by what you see here. There are at least 70 different captures for you to turn on or turn off. You can see in this intermediate one, we had anti-forensic traces on. We had application usage, installed applications. I wasn't running peer-to-peer, but I can turn those on. Emails, calls, office documents, those referenced files. I have all these intelligence keywords, and we do support foreign languages. So you'll see we have some Arabic, Russian, and Urdu in here. Domestic security, financial fraud, terrorism, all these different keywords that you may need in some type of investigation that you're doing. They're there for you to turn on or turn off. If you're doing indecent pictures of children, child exploitation cases, we give you a bunch of preset type captures here for you to run. The keywords, these are all ones I have been adding. Multimedia, we break it down into all different ways that you can collect it. But if you're looking for everything from everywhere, you would start out with your pictures comprehensive, okay? But if I was looking to target it, I could just select pictures in the user profile. And I'll get into some settings on that in a couple of minutes. But again, you can see I can turn this stuff on or off. And one of the ones in here, it's the only one we have that only runs on a live collection, so the computer has to be up and running. We do have this saved credentials. So that will pull out username and password on a live machine from Opera, Chrome, Firefox, Explorer, and Edge. And Safari. So we do cover 6 of those. You'll see here in our icons, the ones with the icons are the artifact captures. Those are the ones that are hard-coded. They can't be edited or copied, but they can be used. And you'll see for user logins, we support Windows and OS X, or Apple Mac operating system. Where do we do that? Do we run live on it? No, we don't. Can we boot a Mac? Yes, we can. We can boot a Mac right now up until the APFS Apple file system. Implementation is coming within the next month or so. It's in our next release. We just wanted to wait till we got the research right and it was going to be correct and not give anybody half of the research. So if it's not APFS, we'll be able to boot it, scan it, and get you the information. If it is APFS, we will have support for that coming up. So again, I'm in Customize. I selected this. I want everything that's here, but I want to add my own flavor to this, my own uniqueness to my case. I have some keywords and hash sets. So over on the toolbar, again, I have some new captures I can run. I can create. This is where you get to go and be unique in your case. If you were working a case, let's say it's a financial fraud and you want to go in, you have to go to a lawyer's office or you have a lawyer's computer and your job is to just get the QuickBook files off of that. You can go to here. This is just a suggestion, or this is just an example of one way you can use this, but you can go in and collect the files. So once you're in collecting the files, you can see all the different types of files that we support. And I know I'm looking for QuickBooks. It's a database file, so I can go to database file, look in there and see all the different types of database files that we collect. I can select the QuickBooks, okay? If there was another type of file that I wanted to collect that we do not support, you can add it here. So if you have a new file type, something that's proprietary that you came across, you want to add the file extension and or the file signature, the file header, you would be able to add that as well. So I select my QuickBooks, I hit OK. I have some options. I can say, hey, I only want to detect if they're on there. I'm just doing a scan to see if this computer moves forward in my line, or you leave that and we'll collect it. Fast identification, what's that mean? It means it's going to look at the file extension. If it finds the file extension for those two files, it will collect it. We can also do a thorough. This is going to slow down your scan. So what this is going to do is a full file header analysis on every file on the computer to make sure you're not missing any QuickBooks file, something that may have had the extension changed or no extension at all. The center choice, thorough identification for files without extensions, what that does is it does a fast identification by file extension, and then if it doesn't have a file extension, it does a header analysis. So it kind of speeds up your search. So you see where I'm going here with being able to get granular and really focus on what you're looking for. So I'm looking for the database files. I'm going to do a thorough identification only for those that don't have file extensions. And then here again, where on the file system do I want to look? Do I want to do the entire file system, or do I want to target a specific area? Knowing that most of my QuickBooks are going to be in the user area, I can go in, select the user profile area of the computer, and target that. I can also look for deleted. Again, we're not carving at this point. It's just anything that has an entry in the MFT, in the recycle bin, or is orphaned. Those are the deleted files we're going to collect. And then you have an option to carve pictures here. So it'd be that simple to set up a scan to go in and collect that. Another way to do it is from a specific location. Let's say I know that everything is in a specific location on a computer. I can say I want to collect all files. It doesn't matter. I just want all the files by identification in a specific location, which would be, let's say I was looking for I'm going to find it here. It hides on me all the time. Right here, mobile sync backup. So I'm looking for any mobile sync backups that are on this computer. I want to collect them and get off the computer. So I selected that specific location, and I'm going to collect all files from there. That's simple. That's two of the easiest ways to use that feature for customizing. Searching for keywords. So I know my case is unique. I have some unique keywords that I want to add. Things that aren't going to give me a false positive, things that are going to get me to that 10% that I'm looking for. Get me down from 100% of the data on the computer to that 10% that I'm looking for. So I could put in my unique keywords. I can type them in, or I could bring in my own lists. So most of us have keyword lists that we like. Again, I go over to my toolbar. I can import a CSV or text file. Very simple. I go in, I would point it at it and hit open. It would bring in my keywords and list them out for me. So what did I just do? I just brought in a keyword list, and it's regular expression. So we do support regular expression or just a regular keyword that you're going to want to run substring, but not at the same time. So we would need two captures to do the two different types of keyword searches. They're still going to run, just not at exactly the same time. We also are able to auto bookmark or auto tag and then auto comment. Once those are entered, where do I want to run these keywords against? Remember I was saying earlier that with those child exploitation type keywords, I could run it just against file and folder names. So if I'm doing a child exploitation case and the files are done by those search terms like PTHC and Hussy Fan and all that, it's going to pick up on it really quick. Low hanging fruit right up front. You're going to see it in the first, minute of the scan. The other way to run these keywords is artifact records from other captures. So as it's parsing out all these other artifact captures that we talked about, the peer-to-peer, the USB history, the web history, web download, search terms, connection logs, user information, it's running the keywords against that. Again, seamless, fast. It's in the first couple minutes that these two get run. But you want the meat. You want to see if it's in any specific files. You would go to this third option, go inside, and this looks really familiar. This is how easy our tool is to use. You pick and choose what you want to run your keywords against. This one defaulted to documents. I could say, yeah, I want to run it against documents, but I also want to run it against text files because it was fraudulent use of credit card, and I know he's collecting credit cards in some way, and I think they're in text files, so I'm going to do that, and maybe internet files. How do I want to detect these documents, internet files, and text files? Fast identification. I'm looking just by file extension. I want fast information. I want to get to it fast. I would do that. If I'm doing a comprehensive scan, I would choose that full file header analysis. Or I could do the medium, which is only if it doesn't have a file extension would it get a full thorough identification. And again, where do I want to look? Entire file system, just the targeted folders that I choose. I can also have it look here at the referenced artifacts that we've collected. It'll run those keywords against that, and of course, deleted files. And then to get even more granular, I can go by dates and times. Should somebody give you limitations on your search warrant, or should you know this crime just started 2 months ago, I just need to go back for the last 2 months and look for this information, you can set parameters here to do that. So that's how you would enter your keywords. Hash values are pretty much the same. We can, for hashing, you have some intellectual property theft. Maybe it's some PDFs that you can hash or something that's hashable. You have a child exploitation case where the images we know are hashable, somewhere where the data isn't going to change every time it gets open. You like in a cyber tip, or like I said, the IP theft, you have the document, you want to hash it, you want to look for it on a computer. You can point it at these files here, and then I'm just going to put it here. I could select that folder. So in here, I'm saying there's some files that I want to hash. And I can say, if it finds it on this computer, I automatically want to bookmark it or tag it. So I can choose my tag level, and I could put in a comment that says, this is my important items. All right, and hit OK. So now it's computing the hashes of all the files that were in that folder that I told it to. Not only that, it's also setting it to automatically bookmark if it finds them, and it'll automatically tag them. Now, what's happening here is we're getting some errors, and I did that specifically, is that there are, I ran that against some files where it was empty and where there are also duplicates. So this will not import duplicate files or hashes for you. So it's not going to waste the time on that. Once these are entered, we're going to do the same thing as far as deciding what we're going to throw those hashes against. While I'm changing this up for a second, let me just give you another poll here, if you don't mind. What's your biggest challenge today? Is it backlog, number of devices, your workflow's not streamlined? You know, you'd really like to add something like this into the workflow, tools, funding. Just a quick question there. All right, let me go back out of here. All right, looking at 40% backlog, 44% number of devices, workflow not streamlined, and 31% tools and funding. So yeah, it looks like we're even across the board with all of that. And I can say, you know, when I was doing it too, it was tools and funding was tough because I was a 1.5-man lab that had a $5,000 a year budget, and that was for everything. I'm sure some of you can feel my pain out there. So you can see here is I entered those hash values. I actually pointed it at just some pictures instead of everything on the drive. So you can see it added 178 images. A couple other ways I can add hash values is I can point it at a CSV or text file. Okay, so if you have your own list that you want to bring in, you can bring those in as well. And we also support Project Vic, CADE. So the VIX data, if you're doing those types of cases, we can bring in that JSON file as well. Once I have the hash values in, I have to give it a capture group name. Remember, I went over the capture groups before, what was there. I'm going to specify this for my case and just say it's specific. And then next, here's where we're going to go and say, okay, what were those hash values? They were pictures, they were videos. I want fast identification, and I just want to target the user folder. So you can see I'm kind of speeding up here on purpose to show you that once you've done this a couple times, you know exactly what you're looking for, how you're looking for it, and how fast you want it to be. You could zoom through. Here, one of my options is, do I want to collect these files if I find it? Yep, I want to collect it as I find it, and I hit save. That will bring me back to my original search profile here, where now there's my specific capture under the capture group hash sets. This is here to stay if I choose so. If this was specific to this case, this investigation only, and I don't want it in my tool any longer, I can delete it when I'm done. If I want to share this with somebody that has the tool, I can export it and share it with them. If I want to copy it or edit it and add some more values to it, I can edit this as well. All right, so I've added some things. Let me just go back in here. Yep, we've done collect files, we've done keywords, we've done hash sets, and we've added it to that profile. We create the profile, and it becomes part of our library here. Once you've made your search profile, you've customized it for your case, you want to go on scene or you want to run it in the lab, you would go to choice 1 or 2 here. I kind of showed you choice 1. Let me show you choice 2, preparing a collection key. This is where you're going to make that USB device bootable. You can see my search profiles come up. I could pick my custom one that I made here. It's a fraud case. But I could say, you know what, I might have other computers that I just want to do a low-hanging fruit type scan on. I can throw these on here as well. So I can put as many profiles on the key as I want. I choose which profiles I want. I choose the USB device that I'm going to prepare, and then I would hit the prepare key on the bottom. That's all it takes. What it does is it puts the bootable partition on the USB device. It formats the USB device, the user area. It puts the profiles and the tools needed in order to run it live, and then it automatically ejects it for you so you can take it out of your computer and go use it. You can see I have a list of all the USB devices that are attached to my computer. If I wanted to prepare multiple keys to go out in the field, I can select all the USB devices that I have on here to prepare. So if I put in 6 Corsair Voyagers, I can select them and it will prepare all 6 for me without having to do it one at a time. Scanning devices and images, again, I can go in and I'm just going to show you really quick here. I have this drive that has, it's named images. Now it doesn't have all the artifacts or everything on it, but I know I'm in a hurry. I want to run a comprehensive scan because I know there's pictures and stuff on here. I can say, just scan this, do a comprehensive scan on it, and I hit scan. The first thing our tool does is make a listing of all the files and folders that are on that thumb drive, regardless of whether we're going to collect it or not. That goes for anything that you run it against. So you plug it into a 256 gig Windows 10 machine, it makes a complete listing of all files and folders for you, regardless of whether it's collected or not. So it goes through here. You can see that there were some remote access traces keywords in there, even though it's not an operating system that's on this. There's some Office documents it's collecting. And then it will move in and start capturing the images that I asked it to capture that are on there. But you can see how the tool works at this point when you ask it to run. Just going to step out of here. You can stop scans. Anything that is done, anything that has been collected up to this point is saved and is part of the scan. You're not losing any of your information by stopping here. All right, one more poll before we move on. That will be my last poll of the day, I promise you. So on-scene investigation triage has become an accepted practice. That's a question that I kind of ask out there in the field all the time, because there are dinosaurs out there like me that just would never accept that as being the case. But there is that time when you do have to resort to doing the on-scene triage. So what I'm going to do now, let me close that poll here. 100% true. That is awesome. All right, what I'm going to do here now is show you when you collect. Let me minimize. There we go. When you create that USB device and you want to go out into the field and do a scan, I showed you how to prepare it. It automatically extracts it for you, or I'm sorry, gives you a safe removal of your USB device. You pull it out, you plug it into the computer you want to run, and if auto open or auto run isn't on and the screen doesn't open, you just go to your Windows Explorer, open up CKY, which is our collection key, and these are the files that are on that drive. So I want to scan this computer that's live. There's a start.bat file. I would select that. It would start up the program for me. You guys can see it. And there we go. So running a live scan. Whenever you insert a USB device into a computer, Windows makes changes. Whenever you execute a program, Windows makes changes. We all know that. We're all aware of it. It's documented in our user guide. It's there for you to help document it in your report. Nothing we can do about it. But now that it's up and running, it is running from the USB device. There are no more changes being made. ADF does not change anything on the computer. If at this point you are one who collects RAM, you need to collect RAM. At this point, it's hit your back button, create RAM dump, and it's going to start saving the RAM for you off into the key. Go back to scan computer. I choose, here I have all my physical devices attached to the computer, or I can choose partitions, and then I can start my scans. Again, there's that BitLocker key. There's the USB device I had. See, you can see this is all open to me. Everything is here for me to scan. There's the profiles that I put on. There is no learning curve whatsoever in using the tool. So I would do my scan, okay? Once the scan is done, it would show up here, just like this. When the scan's done, it's going to drop you here into your results. Quickly, we have our picture cross capture view. We have our videos. We collect frames, so first frame, last frame, 48 frames from in between. We collect keywords, timeline. Here's that file listing of every file folder on the system. We do reporting. We can go to each individual capture, look for our information. So again, here's my navigation on the left, and on the right is my functionality. Okay, so here's where I can do further searching within my results. I can set which columns I want to show. Those would be the columns up on top. I have, that's deselecting anything that I may have selected. I have filtering. There's lots of filtering for each table that you go into. There is tagging. This is where we're going to go into our bookmarking, and here's where we can add some comments. So quick overview there. If I was on scene, I would be able to do any of this, any of the bookmarking, tagging, looking, seeing. If I knew there was some pictures here that were of importance to me, I would be able to select those. I would be able to bookmark those. If I wanted to filter and look for a specific file type, I can filter all my pictures down to just JPEGs, just to show you that. So on scene, I could do that. Once I close that, I'm going to go back into, excuse me for a second here. So back at the lab, you go back with your USB device, you start up your ADF or your DEI that's on your forensic machine. You can see it starting up here for me. I plug in my USB device. The first thing it says, hey, we found some scans that you ran out in the field. Would you like to back them up? I can say yes. It backs them up for me, and then I can go into my review results. And just to show you how these work, that scan I did here, that's not the one. Welcome to live TV. All right, you guys should start seeing this come back in again. I'm gonna go into review results. I have some here that I've backed up before. These are some of the ones I showed you before. But what I'll let you know is as you're going through these, let me just back up here again. I want to grab one that had auto tagging on it. There we go. As you're doing scans out in the field, as you're doing scans out in the lab, and as you're asking that to automatically bookmark files for you, it's automatically building a report in the background. So what I mean by that is anything that's automatically bookmarked is automatically placed into your report. All those archives or all those artifacts are automatically collected for you. They are here for you to turn on or turn off. So if I want the operating system information in my report, I would click it here and turn it on. Everything that's checked here, those are my bookmarks. Those are automatically in my report. Very simple to do, very simple to print out. We do HTML, CSV, and standalone viewer. That's a portable viewer that you can do the scan, hand it off to somebody else on a USB device. They don't need a license. They can go through, do their own analysis and reporting on it as well. I did tend to talk a little bit too much. I do want to get to questions. I went a little farther than just a brief overview. Hopefully this helped those of you who are watching. Brett, if you are on the line still.
I am here, and thank you much, Rich. Great job. We had a question related to the number of USB devices that can be created for triage purposes from a single license.
Right. So if you're on scene of a corporation and you've created 50 USB devices, you'd be able to start those one right after the other and have them all running at the same time. The license is basically location based. So as long as you have that license in your hand and a USB device to match it up to, you can scan as many computers as you want.
Excellent. Next question is, this customer often sends USB drives to current employees for document collection or e-discovery. is there a way to put the license on the USB collection key so they don't have to ship the license dongle with the collection key?
The license is tied to that USB device. So if you were going to do multiples, we do have a product line that is like that, but it would be a single license for you to be able to ship it somewhere and them to be able to use it, because it would be tied to that specific USB device only.
Okay, great. And so I'll put sales contact information in there for that individual, so that they can follow up directly and get some more information on that. And there's a question, you may have covered this. Does it leave footprints on the exhibit during triage?
If you're not collecting RAM at the beginning, then yeah, once you use it, we are going to be using the RAM of that machine, but we are not going to be changing any information in the drive part that you're scanning. So live scan, the changes are made up front. USB device is inserted, programs run, you collect RAM. Footprint is minimal at that point. If you haven't collected RAM, yes, we are going to use the RAM to do the scan. So we will leave a bigger footprint at that point.
And can you access VSCs?
Can we scan those?
Yeah, there are two questions that are tied together. Can you access VSCs, and how does it handle VSCs?
So no, at this point, we do not do the volume shadow copies. It is something that we have looked at. It is something that we consider time to time. But with the nature of the tool being, we want to get you to 10% of the data that can solve 90% of your cases as fast as you can, that kind of becomes a little more on the deep dive end of stuff, rather than the upfront, let's get you your information and get you moving.
Great. That is all the questions at the moment, Rich. There's another one actually just came in. How does keyword search handle compound files like docx? Right.
So I did not hit on that specifically. I glanced over that, but we do, in keywords and hash sets, you have the ability to look inside of archive files. You have the ability to look inside of documents, docx, embedded, and also parsing the ThumbsDB or any photo database files such as that. So we do get in there, we do search for those keywords. Again, that's where we get granular, where you can say, I don't want to look inside of things at this point, I just want to look at what's on the first layer, but if you do want to go in and look deeper, we can do that.
All right, looks like we've got all of the questions answered. We will send out this recording to everyone, and if you have additional questions, I believe you have a final slide there with contact information, Rich.
I believe I do. Let me get that up. 1 second. There we go.
So we are offering a 30-day trial. You can go to tryadf.com and just request your free trial. Rich and the team will actually manage you through that. So if you have questions during the evaluation, they'll help you getting set up or answering any questions you have about custom scans, etc. So we encourage you to do that. You've got phone number and email here for Rich, as well as Nick Burton, who's our license specialist. And thank you to everyone for taking the time to attend today.
Yes, thank you very much. And with those free trials and with the when you do have the product, it's 100% support. You need something, you send me an email, you give me a call, you call in on the support line, and we'll get you taken care of right away.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.